We can speak to Vanessa Teshai. She's in London and she's the Horn of Africa campaigner at Amnesty International. Vanessa, thank you very much for being with us here on TRT World. Now, just take us through some of the methodology that you use to get these victim statements. I know that access to Tigray has been really difficult recently.
Yeah, access to Tigray has been restricted since the beginning of the conflict. We started off with no access, including for humanitarian organizations, but access for international human rights organizations has been restricted completely since the beginning of the conflict, putting us in a very difficult position to document and campaign on behalf of the victims of the conflict. And so what we had to do was travel to the eastern part of Sudan, where a lot of the people who fled the conflict are currently staying or seeking refuge, and as well speaking to people over the phone who are still in Tigray or in refugee camps in Sudan.
I mean, the findings that you've got are really shocking, and those allegations of crimes against humanity and war crimes are really serious. I mean, what are Amnesty going to do with these findings, and are they going to be assisting these people in finding some kind of justice?
Absolutely. Our role as an organization is to campaign on behalf of the people whose suffering we've documented in these reports. The report is the first step to document, to ensure that we have the evidence necessary to make these accusations and then to continue on the process for justice. That includes accountability and reparations. So we will continue to campaign. We will use this report as our standing ground. There's been a lot of misinformation since the beginning of this conflict. And this is a way to say that we have evidence. And it's a way for governments across the world, for international institutions, for regional institutions, to say that we have evidence of these violations happening, that amount to war crimes, that may amount to crimes against humanity. And now we need to take the necessary steps to ensure that these women and girls receive justice and to prevent further violations as well as the conflict continues.
Yeah, I mean, you say misinformation. Of course, as we said, there's been a lack of information just generally. And the report names Ethiopian and Eritrean troops, so that's two neighbours. Have you had any contact with the governments of those two countries yet?
Yes, we've sent these reports in advance. We've asked questions, and there hasn't been responses or engagement. So, that proves the kind of situation we're working with, but that doesn't mean that we will stop trying and stop fighting. Justice for these women and girls will only happen in Ethiopia, so it needs the engagement and the political will of the Ethiopian government for that to happen.
So just clear up, why will it only happen in Ethiopia? Why not Eritrea?
The crimes have been committed in Ethiopia. There are no international or regional systems in place to hold perpetrators accountable to the level that we're asking for in terms of prosecutions, and there are no reparation systems in place internationally or regionally. Eritrea's legal system is not equipped to deal with these kind of crimes, and they can be held accountable in the Ethiopian legal system.
Absolutely right, and thank you for clearing that up. Now, of course, everyone will know that Abiy Ahmed recently won the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, I know that doesn't say anything towards his soldiers' behaviour, but what does that kind of tell us about what's happening in that part of the world and just how dangerous it is for people caught up in these kind of conflicts?
I mean, the situation that we've documented, at least, is the practices that we've documented are so brutal, and they're also extremely widespread to the extent that it has to have been approved by the highest level of government in both Ethiopia and Eritrea. So the fact that he received the Nobel Peace Prize should, enrage, governments and institutions and put extra pressure on him to act in accordance with the prize that he was awarded.
Okay, Vanessa from Amnesty International, do appreciate your time. Thank you very much and best of luck in all your work.